All right, guys, we've kept people waiting a while, so we wanted to get in here. Bing, different camera. We want to get started because we're in 2 OTs, and it's been we've kept some of you waiting. We're going to be joined by Sherrod and Bobby as well, but Josue.
Come on, John. Be honest. You want to come in hot. That's what it is. You want the knee-jerk reaction. That's what.
I'm starting calm. I'm gonna start calm.
You're not disappointed,
and then we'll get there. I don't know, man. I'm more. It's like I've already reached the point of resignation. I don't even know. I really don't.
I thought you would say is the classic. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know what to say anymore. Like, it's just, again, it's like you're going to keep getting mad at them for being who they are. This is who they are. This is a really deeply flawed team. And they don't seem to change ever. So I don't know. I'll let you get first bite at the apple here. On this one.
Oh, thanks, John. I appreciate
please
it,
have at it. I'm gonna ramp up. I'm gonna ramp it up a little bit.
Well, no, I like that you said that because I think this is what you get, and you of course have to credit the Wizards. We have to credit these teams that are I call Eastern Conference playoff teams, but you expect the Celtics to sort of be the same throughout the course of an entire game, and I feel like toward the later half we saw them just putting more effort toward it, and that's what I mean by you would say you're not disappointed. You're not mad. You're just disappointed because at the end of the day, the effort was there, but it was almost too little, too late. But it's frustrating and it's almost infuriating, I'm sure, for Celtics fans because it's like if you just do these habits all throughout, most chances are we get a win out of this, right? I mean, Al Horford playing his butt off, which, by the way, I don't think this team even goes into overtime without Al in that fourth quarter, right?
Really quick, did Jaylen Brown touch the ball in overtime?
Didn't feel like it.
It didn't seem like with the first one.
Second overtime?
No. I don't think so.
No, he faded out. And even on that, again, we're going to keep harping on this. Get the ball. They wanted to get it to him at the end of overtime. He couldn't break away from his guy.
I know. That's annoying for sure. That's annoying for sure.
But I like that Ime set him up at the end of that overtime, though.
No, it's hard to gripe on that because he had a good night.
I don't think you loved the play, John, but it was a really good look. And
I didn't love it.
That opportunity.
I didn't love two things. One, I was looking for a little more creativity on the ATO. Two, I always want to.
I thought they were going to throw something tricky out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I always want to see somebody go into the basket instead of the fall away. I think that's just such a lazy default. You're setting somebody up for attack. They don't have rim protectors.
I wouldn't be shocked that Jaylen had an option on that one, though.
Of course,
it looked like he could have gone either way.
But they set the guys up for the pull up. It's just what they do.
Having a feel for the game is so important. And were shots falling at all tonight? How were they doing?
No, that's the point.
They were thriving inside. They were thriving going at the rim.
History on the wrong side of history from behind the arc. So
yeah,
right. So I mean, I don't even know where to begin here. It's just it was so. I mean, I know where I'm going to begin and end with a lot of it is Jayson Tatum was maddeningly awful. Okay. There's bad shooting nights and there's what Tatum did tonight.
This might have been the worst game of his career.
And this is as bad as he gets because he just won't stop. Like he just keeps doing it. The same stuff, the same degree of difficulty, forcing shots, terrible around the rim again. I don't think he passed once. Like he passed a couple times, like in trouble. He just had tunnel vision all night and just was brutal. I mean, brutal turnovers. He got bailed out by a couple foul calls too, where he could have turned the ball over and put himself in tough spots. He looked awful tonight. And Sherrod, you haven't had a chance yet. So I don't want to make this a 30-minute Tatum bashing thing because I might if you guys let me go. So I'm gonna let you go because you look like you're calm.
It's that app, right?
Oh, Sherrod, we can't hear you, buddy. Check out that headset mic might not be hooked up through the audio. Little Janet Jackson situation you got going.
Miss Jackson, if you're next. No. I'm with you. It wasn't the great
control.
It wasn't the greatest shooting night for Tatum, but at least he didn't get demonstrative, right?
It was a bad everything night for Tatum. Hold on.
At least they didn't say, I need to take the last shot here,
How about now? No.
No.
Still don't have you. Still don't have you. You might have to leave and come back, but just double check. No good. No good. Technical difficulties with Sherrod.
Yeah, you might have to leave and
He'll be right back. He'll be right back. We got time. I'll save the good stuff.
John, I was gonna coach the Tatum thing tonight because again, I know you were hitting it hard all game, but he lost it all in overtime, the double overtime, especially the way he wasted possessions down the stretch.
Yeah,
I know everyone's gonna talk about the call, but there's just no excuse for some of those turnovers to end each portion of the game the way the Celtics just completely boggled possessions.
Yeah. Sherrod, we'll try it again.
Can you hear me guys now?
Yeah, we got
you.
There we go.
Your face isn't moving, but we can hear you.
No, I see him now.
Okay, good.
Look at that movement.
I was going to mention that.
How's that for movement?
Bottom line, they sucked ass as a team. This was bad. This was
I'm not going that far.
Oh, I will. Because here's the thing.
That's not far to go. This was a bad game. The Wizards played an awful game.
The Wizards were dead tired in this game.
The Wizards were like, can you guys please win this?
And here's the thing. When
they bailed them
we
out.
play the Wizards, and I don't know why people don't continue to go to this because it's there. Montrez is not trying to guard anybody.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. And when you made your run, you were creating mismatches where you had Tatum or Brown or whoever. He's literally the worst defender on the floor. And you're literally having a night where you're struggling to get shots to go down. Why would you not continue to go at the one guy who you know you're going to get a good shot off against on a night when you're having trouble making shots as a whole? This was, again, there are games like this that makes you wonder, what are they seeing that we're not seeing? What are they thinking that we're not thinking? Because I don't think it's that complicated. If there's a guy that can't defend, you're having trouble getting shots, go at his ass. That's what you're supposed to do. Right. And you think about from the Wizards standpoint, they realized that they had more youth and athleticism almost everywhere on the floor, so they try to go at Al. And Al at the rim, Al did a great job, but when you take him away from the rim, attack him off the dribble, completely different game.
Yeah,
they never adjusted to the game. They never made the necessary adjustments to attack the mismatches that played heavily in their favor.
There wasn't a great feel for the game from anyone. I'm not going to hammer Ime. I know the fans are loving that right now, but I didn't think he had a great game coaching-wise. The guy you look at in terms of just managing the team on the floor tonight is Tatum. He's the point guard, smarts out. He's not even in the picture. You give a few sets to Richardson. Brown does his fast break stuff and gets a few looks in the half court, but ball control was almost 100% on Tatum tonight, and that's what they squandered. They squandered leads. They squandered possession management in the three straight closing sequences to the game, and ball control. There's just no excuse for that, especially when you have leads in these games. They settled for jumpers with the 6-point lead in overtime. The offensive approach down the stretch was just horrible, and it's inexcusable because they generated great looks all night. Even through the 0-23-point start, they had quality looks on those. They were getting to the basket again and again. It felt like when they didn't score and they stalled down the stretch of this game, it was just a lack of focus and a complete comfort with where they were at. Like, it's like, oh, it's over. We're up 6 in overtime. It's good. And then within 2 minutes, we're in double overtime. It's just, there's a comfort this team builds. You saw every run they went on. The Wizards responded with like 5-6 points of their own. The peaks and valleys of effort and focus with this team are just unreal. And, there's no one else to look at tonight but Tatum. There really isn't.
That's the thing is, like, this has been building for me for a bit. And like, I'm extremely frustrated with Tatum's game because Tatum is a microcosm of everything that we look at with the Celtics, which is continuing to ask them to change and to be different when I don't know that it's possible. Like, this is Jayson Tatum. This is who he is. This is what he does. He has his nights where he lights it up and a bunch of things go in and, and this and that. But at the end of the day, you have a guy who is not great around the rim, takes a ton of contested twos, but does not have a great success rate doing so. And his 3-point percentage continues to decline. And this year it's been brutally bad. So right now he's not scoring well at any level. But on top of that, he's just dribble with his head down in tunnel vision. So he's not looking to make plays either. He's killing you right now. Like when it falls, it's great. And he's your savior. And you're like, that's the guy. But he is brutally bad right now. Like you said, he's had one really good game, two disgustingly bad games, and I think two okay. For your best player, 20% is not good enough. It's not.
No.
The bad games, the average games have to be the bad games. He can't be having games like this, once every 3 nights. It's unacceptable.
Right. This game is, I think, a reminder for all of us of just how important it is to have someone who can manage the game. Not your best player, not your best scorer, not your best rebounder.
I think that's the story of the season so far.
Who can manage the game. That's what that is. And to me, that eventually right now it's everything is obviously in a state of influx with this team, but that to me is Brad's number one priority between now and a trade deadline is figuring out either someone on your roster who can manage the game or go out and get someone who can manage the game, because you don't have anyone on the roster that can do that at high enough level that you can win. This is a game where if you had a point guard who did nothing but just simply make sure you get the ball to the right spots at the right time, they win this thing by 7. Even though they shot like crap from 3-point range, they still win this game. But right now, you're asking your best player, Tatum, to be your game manager, and he's not. And then you look at Schroeder, who, again, good numbers, but when it's time to make that big shot in the stretch, because I thought he had a pretty decent look that he passed up in that second overtime that ultimately, Jaylen got stripped at the very end. I thought he had a great look at a 3-ball that he decided to pass up. Managing the game, managing your role.
That was baffling.
And it was just one of those games where, again, whatever this team is lacking, games like this magnify that. They've got great talent with Tatum and Brown, but who the hell is going to make sure all the ingredients come together the way they're supposed to?
That's fine. There's no doubt. I was talking about this with someone else offline as well. Right now, the lack of a point guard is so glaring on this team.
The roster's a mess.
It is so glaring. There is no one to set it up for you, right? You're right. You've got Tatum and Brown, who are guys who can't be the primary ball handlers in a half-court offensive set. You got to have guys who are finding the right guy at the right time in the right situation, because otherwise you have no choice but my ball, your ball, my shot, your shot. That's what it's going to be when you just have point guards who cross half court, give it up, and get the F out of the way. It just doesn't work. Yeah. And it's a massive problem on this team. However, is that we have now added yet another thing to the list of things that we have failed the Jays with. Okay, there's just nothing you can do right for these guys. There was too much talent at one point, and Kyrie was too mean, and then there were too many wings, and Brad was playing Gordon too much, and then Brad is too whatever. So we need a new coach who can relate to them, and now they've got that, and now this guy is running defense that they don't understand, and there's so many things. At what point do you just say, okay, guys, what do you need? What is it going to take? What is it going to take?
Yeah, but I think that's the part that I think that's
it's
the part
exhausting making excuses for these guys.
Though.
I'm exhausted just listening to you talk about it, John.
It's exhausting.
No, I think both
part of his evolution,
true.
though. He's got to learn to take care of the game, or at least control the tempo of the game and lead, especially when Marcus Smart's not available, when he's not out there. He's got to be that point forward, and I think that he's getting better at that
too, which is getting
little by little. He's getting better than that.
Who is?
Tatum. I feel like a season ago, he would have been chucking throughout the entire overtime.
Josue sounds like me tonight.
and then at the end of the game, doing what he's supposed to do, he goes inside, and the referees, come on, that call reversal.
That was the right ways, call. Though. Wasn't that going both ways tonight?
I thought so.
Yeah, no. The no calls were going no way. Were going that way. But
the
calls, though, once they make that call,
refs were making it up.
Yeah. I could not believe that they reversed that call. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that either. But then
his approach was there, but again, it's like what you said, John. It's just the finishing, finishing around the rim or lack thereof, or setting guys up.
The thing that I go back to with the whole game management thing, and again, this is the whole game management thing. It comes down to recognizing where the ball goes in key moments. Like Jaylen Brown I thought was pretty damn good. And yet you didn't get the sense that they were trying to work the ball to Jaylen in either of the overtime periods, which to me is maddening because, again, we've all seen enough basketball. We've played enough basketball to know that when one guy kind of has it going a little bit more than the rest, as you get closer to the end of the game, that's who you go to. It's not that complicated. And yet we seem to be having this Groundhog's Day moment with this team that's, for whatever reason, struggles to understand. Keep feeding the beast that is feeding you. That was Jaylen Brown. He was the best player on the floor, I thought, tonight.
Jaylen Brown had a single shot attempt in the 2 overtimes. One.
Inexcusable.
One.
And here's the thing.
And honestly, I don't think he touched the ball more than 3 or 4 times.
The only time I remember him touching it in OT was at the very end where they give him the ball with like 2 seconds of play because, Schroeder passed up a shot and Tatum kicked it to Schroeder when he probably should have attacked on his own. That's it.
The frustrating thing, too, is even if Marcus Smart's out there, it's probably not different. And that's when you start to think about where this roster is going to go before long. There's a real chance this roster is going to need a significant structural shakeup this year because
2 shots for Jaylen. 2 shots for Jaylen. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I thought he had one in the first over. Or
a 3-point attempt in the first and a missed layup in the second. Yeah.
Yeah. So
not enough.
And that's just something that happens over and over again. And to your credit, Josue, I'll give it to you. He's gotten better as a passer. He's gotten better at spreading the ball around to guys throughout the course of the game. But that's different from managing the game, especially in key moments. And key moments is where he really seems to struggle in this regard. It just kind of breaks down, moves too fast, or he's thinking too much about getting his own shot in those spots, which might have been the issue down the stretch of this one too, because he missed a ton of shots down the stretch of double overtime there. Can we mention the frustration with the officials too? Because Ime talked about this pregame. He's talked about it every single day, all season. They're talking about it behind the scenes. They had a come to Jesus moment again after the last game. They're complaining. It's just never going to end.
6-4 in the first quarter. Tatum in the post. By the way, as a side note, Tatum and Brown should be working in the post all the time. I don't understand why. Tatum should do a lot of his ISO work in the post instead of up high, because he can shoot up and over people from closer range. But they were trying to get into the post a little bit early. But Tatum got a ball, got one in the post, went up and under, missed it right away at 6'4", throws his hands up, and he's that way all the way down the court.
This is what I wrote about.
He must have complained 40. He must have complained. He complained as many times as he missed shots tonight.
He's ignoring Ime. Ime is saying every single day.
I don't want to see that. And then 6-4, first friggin' 3 minutes of the game, first thing that doesn't go his way, like this, and
Not
then
even
backing
that
up
one,
the
John.
court. Huh?
The foul on Harrell in overtime that put Washington within 2.
Sure, the double block.
Almost gets a tech.
Almost got a tech. If the refs wanted to, they could have teed him up 2 or 3 times tonight for sure. Because he did the swat away at the call thing, and refs don't like that. Yes, refs hate that. No way, get that shit out of here. Yeah. They hate that, and he got away with it.
It's so dismissive.
He got away with it. He's gotten away with it a few times. He has 2 techs this season. He could have about 5 or 6 easy right now. Easy. It's in Bobby, to your point, not only are they not listening to him, it's like they ratcheted it up. It's become everybody, even Al. Al's a leader. Yeah. Al was barking at the refs.
It's quick now. It's just not as drawn out. It's just a quick reaction, and then they keep it moving. Yeah.
It's I'll give this one a shot. That's not bad. Cloud wine.
Al was the one that was keeping this team in it. I mean, this thing doesn't even go into overtime without his blocks. I mean, it's turning into Mutombo out there.
He did some good things.
But Josue,
13 on the season.
But Washington made an adjustment. Rather than attacking out the rim, they backed the hell up and attacked him off the dribble.
My only concern with Al too this year.
What's that?
My only concern with Al too, posting up around the basket, getting his shot off. He's really not the same in that regard. That was something he could do in his sleep in 2017, 18.
Yeah,
he doesn't get the same.
Spencer Dinwiddie on his ass and down the stretch and missed the layup. I mean, that's
a great point, though. They started shielding him off.
That's not. Yeah.
His
Man,
touch around the
this was
rim, you look statistically, it's fallen off the map since his last Boston stint. That's the one area where he's not quite the same, and it's got to be taken into consideration with the way you call things. Ime was leaning on that. That's actually the area, if we're going to hit on Ime, where I had some issues with him calling those plays out down the stretch, especially against a physical guy like Harrell. Going right at him one-on-one in that spot wasn't the greatest move in the world for me. And
no, you get your wings switched out on Harold and then attack. That's where your offense can come from, because they're not going to get there's. And when he left the game, they had no rim protectors, so attacking the rim should have been like the number 1, 2, and 3 priority.
Yet they had some trouble getting by Denny and Davis Bertans, and they wouldn't happen. Unreal.
That's not
like
a good
that
sign.
was a big break for them that get those guys in the game.
Here's the thing. Again, people who are saying, okay, guys, 3 overtime games, couple of them go in the other direction, and they're 4-2 instead of 2-4. Would you be this down on this team? I think still yes, because I don't think any of these issues change things. I really don't. I think that there was a fool's gold situation last year with an 8-3 start, even though you could see a lot of problems with that team. They did that through a double big stretch that we all freaking hated, but they were winning those games. And there was a lot of stuff where like, this doesn't look great. And then it came back. So I know some people out there will be like, reverse the records here and it's a different story. It's just, like I said, all of these problems that we're seeing right now, I don't know how they get fixed. Sherrod pointed out the point guard, Tatum, Brown coming in and out, some games on, not just in and out from game to game, in and out within a game, be the best player on the court for 10 minutes and then be invisible for another 10 minutes.
Don't understand how that happens.
I just don't get how that happens.
Especially when you're playing a team that doesn't exactly make an adjustment to that. It's not like Washington always say, oh, Jaylen, we've got to do X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. They didn't do anything different.
Nothing.
And the only difference was that he wasn't getting the ball.
Tatum is infuriating and just he's getting worse, not better. That's the problem with Tatum, is his game's going in the wrong direction right now. It's wrong direction in a lot of different ways. And so I just don't know at this point, and a lot of it feels like choice, but it's just a lot of these things are going to be hard to fix. Will they get Ime's switching system? Maybe. Will the effort ratchet up? I hope. This didn't look like a low effort game. This just looked like a sloppy out of focus game,
But I think the reason you feel that way is because you're comparing it to last season. Like the reason you feel, regardless of the record, it's just the eye test for you that you're not liking, is because you're comparing this team's effort to what we saw last year, and a lot of those same habits and those same, they're regressing back to that sort of effort. And you look at this game and you're like, oh, okay, the effort was there, but it was the execution that you're disappointed in, because, again, you're comparing it to last season and you're wanting to see tremendous strides out of Tatum, especially, and we just haven't seen it yet, even though it's only 6 games in. But it's regardless of the record, though. I'm with you. It's just about how they look, as a team, as a cohesive unit.
He'll have that stretch too, Josue.
New coach.
Yeah. Josue, he's going to have that stretch too, where he goes he's going to have a stretch where he's lights it up and everybody
goes off. Yeah.
You look at the players right now, even if Ime hasn't done the best job in the world, I just can't. We're 5-6 games now into a new tenure. He's got some clear philosophies he's trying to implement. He clearly has a track record of success in this league. I'm not saying he's the next Popovich in this position, but the amount of fixation on his every move, when it's clear that the execution and the players and the personnel to some degree, I'm getting really frustrated with now at this point in the season. I just can't. Ime's so far down the list of concerns for me right now.
It is. Well, go ahead, Sherrod.
He is, but we can't pretend as if he is doing a spectacular job.
No,
he's not. He has to get better, and that's. I think for fans, it's like the coach has to get better, the players have to get better. Which is the bigger issue right now? Is it them not executing his vision, or is his vision flawed? The whole switching.
Depends on how you feel about the switching. It really does.
I've been on the record from day one saying I hate it.
I don't like it either.
It gives your
is that why you asking about it?
Defenders an out.
It lets the other team choose the matchups. You got Grant on Beal. That's wrong. That's bad.
It puts you in a position where you're being reactive instead of proactive.
Yeah,
when you're switching everything, and I personally don't like that, but. Again, I was willing to give this a shot and just see if this works. So far, we're what 6 games into it, and I think it's fair to say it's not working. And record-wise, we're all disappointed, and certainly fans are disappointed that they're 2-4. But remember, this is the same start that Brad Stevens got off to when he took over.
This is a problem with
that surprising.
Much different time, Sherrod.
But this is a problem when you have a coach who has a system and a thing that he does versus a coach who comes in and says, look at my personnel. Here's what I want to do. I hate that. And to use like a football comparison, one of the reasons Bill Belichick's successful all the time is because he would change what he does, not only season week to week, but season to season. We're a power running team. We're going to run. We don't have wide receivers. We got quick guys in the middle of the field and tight ends. We're going to play it here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I don't have a pass rush, but I got a ton of corners. So we're just going to drop back in coverage and whatever. Like, that's it. Like, it would always change depending on personnel. It's not but you play other guys who are like, I run a 3-4. It didn't matter who was on the team.
And that's what disturbs me about switching everything.
And beat the shit out of those guys.
You have guys who can defend well enough to where you don't have to do that. You don't have to play that style of defense and be successful. I think Schroeder is a decent defender. Richardson, decent defender. Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Jaylen Brown, Tatum. Those guys are not horrific defenders. And yet when you're switching everything, you know that you now have the option of not locking in on your guy because your teammate is supposed to be there. And then if your teammate
it falls in line with the philosophy, though. I think that's what it is, Sherrod. It falls in line to the accountability, and everyone's got each other's back.
Have your own.
There's going to be a weak link,
have
right?
Your own back. If you
I'm
can't have
100%
your own back,
with
how the hell is
Josue
your
there.
teammate going to have your back? If you are letting your guy just travel through the lane without sheer resistance, why should I be feeling like, damn, I got to have Josue's back because Josue's not doing his part to stick with his man. That's why I hate the switching.
You got to put the analogy like that.
It allows you and out to not be as Brad likes to call it, the best version of yourself defensively. You don't have to be the best version when you're switching everything because your teammates got your back.
We had this discussion in the playoffs too when Tristan Thompson was on Harden every play, and I get the frustration. It's kind of the name of the league now. Everywhere you look, everybody does it, and it's just to kind of keep everything in front of you. And I think what we've seen with Ime, and I think Josue was kind of getting at this too, is like they want to hammer it down. They want to become connected in it. They want to master it. And you're just not seeing the attention to detail. And I don't even think it's a personnel thing. Like Rob and Horford have done a pretty good job adjusting to it. It's other guys who are getting lost, who aren't getting over screens, which is just inexcusable. They continue to
why should I get over screens? We're switching everything. I don't need to do that.
Well, right. Sherrod, let me ask you this.
Man, I can just go over here.
Sherrod, I mean, you've been around obviously a ton of teams, ton of coaches, situations, coaching switches, X, Y, and Z. How long till the players lose faith? And I'm not saying lose faith outwardly where they start to gripe about it and it becomes an obvious thing, but how long till they start to think like, does this guy know what he's doing? Because again, no offense, Bobby.
They start calling Brad.
I know. No offense, Bobby. You did say Ime has a track record. The reality is he has no track record. That's the problem.
As an assistant.
John, I was going to let that slide.
As an assistant.
But that's what I mean is like life is totally different 12 inches to the right, like it is when your butt is 12 inches over to the other side and you're in the coach's chair, it's the assistant gets to be your buddy. He's closer to the players than he is the coach. He's there for you. He's not that mean old grumpy guy who makes you do all that stuff. It's different. He's just got to follow what the coach says, but there's no pressure. What assistant has any pressure on them? There's zero pressure being an assistant. It's a great gig. This is hard. Like, it's up to me, and I got to fix it, and I got to put this new thing together, and it's my first gig, and expectations here are really freaking high, and it starts with everybody not doing what you want to do, not listening to the things you've told them are most important to you, and a 2-4 record, and all of a sudden, you wonder at what point, like, it spirals out of control for him, because, coaches can survive rocky starts, but if you're a rookie coach and you lose the faith of people and you lose the faith of your players, it can get away really quick. Like, look who am I thinking of? The guy LeBron killed in Cleveland, who he sent to Israel again. David Blatt.
David Blatt.
that guy's career. That guy's career lasted 30-something games.
Get
and
them to
everyone's
the
like,
NBA Finals canned 3 months later. Jeez.
Yeah, they were in first place when he got the axe, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Blat. Anyway, but it can get away quick.
I just have.
yeah,
I have.
So I don't know,
I have
Sherrod. What do you think?
no-
Like, is Ime not in jeopardy, but should we be worried?
He's not in any type of jeopardy at all. That I mean, if anyone's thinking that, you're just way off the reservation.
John's trying to blat him.
The bigger issue for Ime and John pointed out is at what point are players going to just? I think what you'll start seeing is players will just be real low key in their post game and pre game interviews about, well, maybe they would make some kind of real kind of throwing shade at the fact that they're switching everything. Maybe we need to just stay with our men a little bit better, and maybe we need to do things like that. That I think is going to start happening. And if I had to pick like one player who would probably get that ball rolling, and you probably won't see this coming, it'd be Josh Richardson.
Josh Richardson. Yeah,
I think that is absolutely in his DNA to do that. And he's
like, what do you guys think about this?
I'm the new guy, so I'm just trying to go along with what they're doing. But I just know that this isn't really what I do. I mean, this is when I was in Miami, we really didn't do this. I think you're going to start seeing some of that at some point, unless they figure this thing out, because they have guys who can defend well enough where you don't need to switch everything. It's maddening for me to watch them play, seeing guys give piss poor effort to stay with their men because they know my teammates got it. I understand the need for accountability, but when it becomes a crutch, which I think when you're switching everything, I think it becomes a crutch defense because, again, you are in a reactive mode to what the other team's doing, which means that they've got you where they want you. You're responding to what they're doing as opposed to you dictating the action.
There's no doubt about it. That's definitely an issue. I will say to their defense, though, tonight, this was a much better effort game than last game.
A lot of good things happened.
This was an execution game. And again, I mean, not just execution. They literally shut it down after being up 6 in that OT. And that it was brutal from there on out. I mean, just brutal. So the late game execution, I don't know if that's something you're putting on Ime, focus these guys into better possessions, but they're just throwing away possessions in overtime there with no plan, no semblance of anything. It was really pretty grisly, but you're right. There are positives. Al Horford was great. This was Richardson's best game, clearly as a Celtic. Huh?
They found a way to utilize them.
Better. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Better. So there's definitely some things that you can draw upon and say, that's not bad. And look, you want to put a bright side on these things. This is a historically bad 3-point shooting performance. They'll never shoot this poorly in a game ever again.
You went to double overtime on the road.
You went to double overtime on the road. You're never going to, I mean, literally, if you make, they were 2 for 26. You make 4 3-pointers and this game's a blowout. 5, it's, that's never going to happen. Some of these things are unsustainable.
Both of those came from Pritchard, and it came at a time when they really needed him. I felt like it was one of those like, hey, this game's going to get away from you if you guys don't get at least 2 consecutive defensive stops and at least score once on the other end. Like it was almost as if they were trading baskets throughout that stretch, but they couldn't put together the kind of run that put them in the situation to win the game. And those threes, they went a long way.
They had so many different moments throughout the game where you felt that they were like one stop or one basket away from just putting this thing away, sealing the deal, and they couldn't do it.
Consistent play, that's all they really needed to go on like a big run through this game.
That's it. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
This is why I have such a hard time looking at the coach and the schemes and that kind of stuff because
you can't do that yet.
Yes, it just keeps going back.
There's just not enough of a sample size to really start getting to that too much.
And it's too far down the list because, like I said, you're going to build in growing pains for a coach with a new team. You're going to build in growing pains for a new system. So you can't throw that out immediately, but you can't abide by lack of effort. You can't abide by, hero ball or the stars not passing it or, one game on, one game off. Like that stuff just doesn't work. There's some stuff there that just you can't have. So yeah, no, I'm with you, Bobby. I think the Ime stuff is strange where it does feel like there is a small faction that's
I think everything's
trying to
impacting
point
each
a
other.
little at Ime. Yeah.
I think everything we bring up is valid. The only thing I'm going to harp on much more to continue what you were just talking about is that shooting. Like, these aren't bad shooting nights. This one was extreme, almost going the whole regulation without making a three. But the shooting on the roster is this bad. Like, they do not have guys who can space the floor off the ball on this roster. Horford's off to a brutal start. I think he's 1-12 at this point in the year. Schroeder had a nice little run to open the year, and then he fell off the map tonight in that regard. Grant with the air ball after his scorching start. They were relying on Parker for 3-point shooting to open this year, and we kind of know who Josh Richardson is in that regard, I think. So, like, you just look everywhere with off-ball shooters on this team. They don't have reliable guys. So I do understand why fans are looking at Nesmith, and I've certainly looked at Pritchard in that regard, who came in and gave them a boost here. But, like, it's not like they're going to come in and just provide all your spacing. On the regulars on this roster, they don't have enough guys to fill the 3-point sheet the way you need to in the game today. And that can be just completely undermining factor in the way you build your team, because teams are going to nail threes all day long. They're so lucky that threes are kind of down to start this year, and teams haven't gotten off to a good footing in that regard, because they'd be so behind the curve if that was happening and they weren't getting the Grant Parker type three, Schroeder.
Well, it's not going to be like this all year long, Bobby, so they better get going.
I don't know if they're gonna. The guys who are on this roster who play consistently, and like that, there's not a strong case to play Nesmith over Richardson yet. There's not a strong case to play Pritchard over Smart, Schroeder, and those types. So you can't just pigeonhole those guys in the lineups to try to create some spacing. So I don't know what you do.
Well,
Maybe you have to make a move.
I think people forget stuff really quickly. Like, when the offseason started, there were no trades. You sold away your first-round draft pick to get rid of Kemba Walker, and every single thing that you did pointed to not really looking to improve this team in any meaningful way, but preserving this season, holding on to cap space and holding on to some level of flexibility. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's was the approach. Like, they told you, they telegraphed, we're not actually really trying to win this year. What's
the worst part about that too?
Yeah.
They have no flexibility.
And they don't. Then they sign the extensions, right?
They don't have any flexibility to make moves until January.
I don't really know, because then they started signing extensions and we're like, oh, so I guess not saving cap space. So it's hard to fathom what exactly was going on. But they basically said, we're not really going to spend deep into the cap here. We're not going to try to make any big splashy moves. We're just holding the line and see what happens down the road. This is a kick the can down the road season. They filled it with veteran people who were going to give you better efforts overall, they thought, than what you were getting last year from your Semi Ojeley's and this and that. So you got lucky with Schroeder, who ended up sitting there on the scrap heap when all was said and done. You made your Richardson move. That's it. This team was not built to be a contender. And I think people lost focus of that for whatever reason.
Yeah, but when you think back to that again, Brad's first season was kind of the focus. I mean, you had guys like freaking Jared Bayless on the squad. Keith Bogans was on the squad. I mean, guys that Joel Anthony, those guys were not brought in for the long haul. They were to get you through that bridge season. But the problem that I think most fans are having with this group that's a little different than that first one that Brad has was, one, these guys are more talented, first and foremost. And number two, these guys aren't playing with that consistent effort that you have to have when you know damn well that your roster is not as good as the top 2, 3, 4 teams out there. And that's really why this team has been so hard for a lot of us to deal with his stomach, because the identity is not the identity that you should have when you know damn well you're not on the same level as, a Milwaukee or a Brooklyn or teams that are legitimately on paper and in reality title contenders. You're not that team. So if you're not that team, the only thing that you can control is how hard you play. And these guys don't bring it.
Can you believe that?
But those are two very different situations though, right? Like, those are two very different. Like, one was rebuilding the team. This, I feel like this year is rebuilding Tatum and Brown, right? You're rebuilding the leaders, the all-stars of the team.
They were never all-stars. You can't rebuild what was never built.
Team, Sherrod. There was no all-stars.
Yeah, it's rebuilding the cap sheet in a way too. The medium contracts, and it really doesn't matter who it is. It's the numbers.
Yeah, that too. But it's about, can they make the pieces around them better? And we can't say the pieces around them aren't better compared to last year. I think they are.
I think they are too.
Can you believe that this team peaked in 2017 on the Isaiah Thomas year? Like, that's the glory days. That's as 18. Good as it gets. It was 16,
Getting within one win of the finals.
In a few years, kids are going to be
Wasn't
like,
that 16-17 season?
No, that's when they got swept. They got within a game after they traded Isaiah for Kyrie. No, it's unreal. And again, like, I think back to that day where they lost that game 7, and it's like, oh, they have 10 years to do this. Like, who cares? And I was just sitting there like, I don't know. Like,
you stay open.
You never know when it's going to close. And of course, the next year, that core in particular had the window slam shut on it. This all just this 4-year run that they're on right now to end up at this point, and everything we talk about is valid, but just the flush of talent, how far everything dwindled in the worst pieces, the drafting to go back to Ainge. Like, it's all just crumbled in a way that's hard to not look at and say, like, all right, how much longer is like this whole thing going to last?
Bobby, here's the thing, though, that I keep coming back to. Even with the reality that this team on paper is better in many respects, those teams were still enjoyable to watch.
This one's not.
It feels like they haven't been enjoyable.
I mean, think about this. How many teams get their ass kicked to end the season in the playoffs and get a standing ovation? That does not happen anywhere but Boston. And it only happens
that season was so much fun.
Who play a certain style that your fan base embraces. And that style is hard work, blue collar, get your fingernails dirty, get your dive for damn loose balls, play hard every game. I don't care if you win or lose, play hard. And we don't see that every night. We don't see that most nights.
And back-to-back years, it looked like they had a great defense on paper relating to that. I got fooled twice, 2 straight years. I thought this could be the #1 defense in the league, and they're sitting at the bottom. They were 29.
I don't know why you thought that last year.
I don't get that. I don't know why you thought that
either. That was wild.
They are 20.
Bobby always says that, and I'm like, really?
Just walk away from the green Kool-Aid, all right? Just do not drink that shit. It's not.
Just look at the individual players that they had in the lineup, the size that they have in the lineup the last 2 years, and it's like, all right, they're gonna have a ton of flexibility here, and they're gonna be able to defend every position. And it's just the effort, like you talk about, the execution, the focus.
Yeah, defense is effort. That's it.
They're as bad as any defense in the league right now. It's unreal.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think the defense, like I said, it's not great. And
I think the bigger issue is their offensive execution.
Their offense. It's you have
the defense ranks lower than the offense,
but you have 2 huge problems on offense. You have execution issues because Sherrod said, you don't have that point guard, right? And you don't have guys who are consistently pressuring the defense by getting into the lane. I mean, Brown does it, every other game or every third game, it seems like, and you're just not enough shooters, man. I mean, throw this game out the window, even without tonight, it's not a good shooting team. Offensively, this team is insanely limited, especially if they're going to resort and rely on jumpers and not be, this is their identity the last few years. Jump shooting team that's not particularly good at shooting. That's a terrible way to run your offense. But that's what they are, right? What else do they do?
Yeah.
Hate
to keep dropping the bad news too, but the East is so good this year.
So yeah, hold on. Before we get into that, I want everyone to get calm just for a
second. Thank you, John. I need this right now because I'm getting triggered just the more we talk about them. Just like
I'm getting a little triggered. So again. And I need this bad, and Bobby's banged up too, so we could all use it. But this is Calm. It's the number. Bobby's saying crazy things tonight. I think he's like delirious. But #1 app for sleep and meditation is Calm, and Calm is one of our sponsors over here at the Garden Report. So we want very much for you to support our sponsor. It's a LeBron James supported app here, and as we said, it is #1 sleep and meditation app right now that you can get. Go get some. Calm.com/garden 40% off. We all have a free trial. We've all kind of started kind of testing it out. It's getting good sleep, find a time to rest, body and mind. You've got sound of rain falling on leaves, sleep stories, whatever it is. There's a ton of stuff, and everybody I know who's used it honestly is like, I get to sleep in like 2 minutes. So anybody out there who has a tough time relaxing after a friggin' stressful Celtics game because you're jacked up to here, and everybody's in at 11, and we make it worse.
Texting 50 people about the
texting everybody, and then you come on here, and then we're yelling, and you're freaking out, and you can't bring yourself down. Go get some calm. Get some of this. It's going to chill you out, let you get to sleep, because we all leave here jacked up, and so go get some. calm.com/garden, 40% off. It's a really big discount for the premium subscription. So please go check it out.
It is. It is. It's so, because I've used Calm for a while now, and I did not get the damn 40% discount. Damn it.
Yeah.
So
I've been on that
vicariously through me and get the damn 40% discount, because I wish I could, but I can't. It works, man.
Everyone's saying just take a gummy. I'm not saying you can't. No, I'm just saying.
Did I hear a gummy reference?
No. Anyway, but look, this is
not what this is about, guys.
That's not what this is about. This is the real deal. So go check it out. Bobby, you were saying about the East. This is the problem. Is like we keep talking about it. Like everyone, we get stuck in this little Celtics echo chamber. Tatum and Brown. They're young. They're talented. There's talent everywhere right now. There's more players coming up, and you're like,
Wizards are 5-1.
That guy's good. Ooh, they've got some good players. Wow, that guy's playing really well. Miles Bridges, huh? He's whoa. Like there's good players, like
Toronto. Woo!
they got cooked by a guy who averaged 8 points a game in college a year earlier, Barnes. That night.
Hey, Scotty's not bad, all right.
They're not the only
ones. Top 3 rookie of the year candidate. Easy.
It's awesome.
But make it sound like he's a bum.
No, but I mean, this guy's scoring 10 points a game in college last year.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics are making Scotty Barnes look like Scottie Pippen out there, and that shouldn't happen.
You see that the other night?
That's damn good, though.
You see the 3 dribbles? Gets a rebound, 3 dribbles and dunks. Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Hello. I thought the Raptors were going to be bad this year. I'm so happy.
I don't think it's a fluke.
You and Annie are thrilled with Scotty Barnes right now.
They're so fun to watch. They switch everything. They're like those early Bucks teams. I know people are using the G word around Scotty right now. I think we should hold the horses with that. But they are a joy to watch, like those early Giannis teams in Milwaukee. And he's kind of playing in that role with the pace and length along the perimeter and defending the best players. They're awesome. And we saw what they did to Boston. We did. But
it is.
Yeah,
but
there's 12 good teams in the East right now.
Yeah.
And I'll keep Boston in there. I will.
It's still early. Everything we're pissed off about now, we might not be pissed off about in a couple of weeks. It doesn't mean it's like that's the thing is like when it's happening now, it's not like it's going to be like this forever. At this moment, Jayson Tatum is playing like ass. At this moment, they're not giving enough effort as a team. At this moment, they're not playing Ime's defense. At this moment, they haven't listened to him about the whole ref situation. At this moment, the offense has no identity. At this moment, they're really struggling with the point guard position. All of these are facts now. They are right now. All of these things are happening now. It doesn't mean they're going to happen forever, but now there's red flags everywhere, and you're hoping some of these things, get taken down at some point or another. It's just, inconsistent effort, problems in different places. You wish you didn't see them. I
might need a couple shots to amplify my calm.
Yeah,
later on.
Hey, Saturday night Sherrod.
Just to speed that process up. This is not how I plan to spend my weekend before my birthday. I was so convinced that they were going to win this game. So convinced.
What day is your birthday, Sherrod?
For them
Monday.
too.
I got a November birthday. I always forget we're November people.
I know a lot of October, borderline November ones.
I was so convinced they were going to win this game, though. Damn.
Me too. How could you not?
They should have. Washington
Overtime up 6.
Washington didn't try to win.
I thought Brown's going to take over.
Washington was throwing the ball everywhere. The most concerning thing about this, too, is for a group that kind of has some, I don't know whether it's toughness or confidence or just fortitude concerns around it. You kind of need to pick up some of these wins in close, tight games to feel good about yourself and carry something forward because especially last year, I felt there were times where there were legitimate excuses and they lost some tough ones, and it felt like they kind of just let that pile on them, and it just carried, and they go on these losing streaks, and like they'd feel that the situation's worse than it is. Because if you do look at tonight, Smart and Rob out, the execution, the competitiveness, all that stuff was there for much of the game.
You're down 2 starters. You made 2 out of 26 threes, and you hung with now 5-1 team on the road.
Then you lose in the fashion you did, and it's just like, all right, you're getting peppered with these questions about what's wrong, and you're doubting yourself, and you're looking at the system, and everything just starts spiraling for these guys. I feel like when these things happen,
I hate taking that whole intangible, and they need that guy who blah blah blah, and that but that you feel like if you had that Jimmy Butler type, of personality on the team, you win more of these types of games than you lose them, these games that you should get or you could get that are there within your grasp, just doesn't feel like anyone's taking it. It feels like if it happens, great, but it didn't. So whatever, it's just not enough players making big plays in big moments. And again, you had that the last game when Marcus Smart, makes a steal and this and that. And so certainly they're not without them, but again, it goes back to the whole captain thing. And I hate to make too much out of something that it should be insignificant, but it really does blow my mind that you don't have anybody who wants to say, yeah, I'll take the burden of responsibility to be that guy who gets in people's face and makes sure that we friggin' are on point when we need to, and somebody who keeps the players in check.
You know who I was thinking about yesterday? Because I saw a clip of him.
It bums me out that there isn't that guy. That's all.
Goodman talked about this a lot last year.
Who are you thinking of?
And I kind of shied away from this thing because I don't think that's super important. I think the talent on the floor is what matters. But a guy like PJ Tucker, like that kind of guy just being there in Milwaukee and that sort of thing you talk about in terms of that guy in the room and what he did to change the team's mindset, you wonder what that could have done here. And just him being here and, Horford, you like to think Horford's a good veteran guy, but there's a different kind of fire to a guy like Butler, PJ Tucker, one of those guys who's just like, all right, let's just do this. I'm going to go out and guard Durant. I don't care if he hits 50% of his shots against me. I don't care if he scores 50. I'm going to go out and give him hell. And, we're going to feel good about it, even if we lose by 2.
The thing about those type of players is that they are irrationally confident in their ability to the point where they believe that they can do things that when you look at the specs, they shouldn't be able to do. Like PJ Tucker has no business being able to adequately guard Kevin Durant, and yet you will never, ever, ever see a moment where he's on the floor with Kevin Durant where he doesn't believe in his heart of hearts that he can.
That was so awesome. Did you see that clip, Sherrod?
To the point where he would get in his face, talk smack, look at his mama. She got something to say I love you, and she says I love you too. He's that irrationally confident in his ability to do that kind of stuff. Same thing with Jimmy Butler. I mean, remember, Jimmy Butler was the last player taken in the first round, a guy that the Celtics passed over for, I believe it was Juwan Johnson.
Yeah.
That year?
That's right. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up.
That's the Jimmy Butler year.
Yeah, the Jimmy Butler year. So, and that's another guy that, again, is irrationally confident in everything he can do on the floor. And to the point where he will embarrass you like he did the Timberwolves, where he showed up that one day and basically kicked all of their asses and said, this is what you're missing out on. I'm out.
Yeah.
They don't have anyone who has that level of irrational confidence because Tatum already knows he's really good. Jaylen Brown knows he's already really good. Who's the one guy on the team who probably thinks they're significantly better than they really are?
Is that really a question?
Don't say
one guy.
It's obviously Marcus. I mean, what are we talking about?
You're literally Smart.
You're literally describing Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart has a clear elite level skill in this league. He can
defend.
If
you ask the guy what his 3-point percentage is, he'd probably tell you it's 55.
Yeah.
1 year it was like 36. That's probably what he'll say. 1 year it was.
He won't say that. He'll just say.
Which is what I would say if I were him. But those other guys, but again, Jimmy Butler, he's not a great shooter. He's not a lockdown defender. He's not any particular great thing other than he's an incredible competitor. Same thing with PJ Tucker, incredible competitor. The Celtics need someone who has that edge about them. I don't think it's Marcus, but I can
but
understand
look,
why.
they played hard. They have Marcus. Schroeder's got a chip on his shoulder. Something's out of sync right now. So it's hard to figure out what. It could be a chain reaction of a bunch of things.
They can't seem to figure out what.
But they can't figure out right now.
Right there. They don't know.
The personnel that these guys have, it should be enough. It should be. They have guys that
Are we sure?
They're not tremendous defenders, but it's like what Sherrod said. Guys like Schroeder, guys like Richardson,
they have
guys
the
that showed from game
personnel.
1 during the preseason, got into people's faces. We didn't see that at all last year. So they have guys that can do that. They're just not showing it, or they haven't hit that switch yet. It's second nature to approach a game that way.
What happened?
Someone has to be the den mom, the one that makes sure everyone has got their snacks.
Yeah, like I prefer. I'd say that. I'd go with that. I wouldn't say that these guys need a Patrick Beverly or a PJ Tucker or no. I think these guys they have personnel to do that. Well, I mentioned him because rah guys that are gonna always be like that every single night. I don't know if that's the fix for this team to be successful or make a deep playoff.
No, it might hit a brick wall, and it might just
He
might end up with that Butler practice in Minnesota. There's no perfect solution to this. There's the roster, there's the makeup, there's all kinds of things floating around here, but
it's just the grind.
You just wonder how they're going to respond. You just wonder how they're going to respond to it if it keeps sliding. And that feedback thing I talk about, because they look good early in the preseason. They did some things. They established some things. And then guys moving out of the lineup, COVID, those things just sort of seem to get on top of them again. They lose a few tough games to start this year, and all of a sudden it's all piling up again, and they can't dig themselves out of it. We would have felt pretty good if they won this game.
You know me.
With all the words.
Yes and no. Tatum was still caught an earful, but yes, it would have been a gritty game considering all.
It changes the outlook.
Gritty win considering everything went as bad as it could, which is down 2 starters, not making any threes on the road, all of that stuff for sure. But it's me. I refuse to accept excuses. This team has a lot of them, so that's the benefit of the doubt is going to rest in the fact that all of that stuff happened. The new this, the COVID, that injuries, he's still not playing a complete lineup as they're trying to find an identity and figure out their right rotations. And every single night they got to reinvent themselves on the fly because they're missing 1 and 2 guys. It's not a great way to start the season for them, not at all. You'd feel better 3-3 or 4-2. They're 2-4, so we're gonna freak out a little bit more. For me, I just want the simplest thing I want. The only thing is, what can you count on with this team? You've got 2 excellent players. I want to see them play as close to their highest level every single night. It starts there with me. Everything else trickles down from that. Everything else is gravy. It's a bonus if you can do it. But
we didn't have big expectations for this team.
I want to see Tatum and Brown on a nightly basis playing smart basketball, playing to their best. You're going to have off shooting nights, but like Tatum played low IQ basketball tonight. I mean, just very poor basketball.
He's better than what we saw tonight. He's
much better than that. He's just got to play at a higher level. Like that's not the shooting that you get down. It's like, what are you doing at times? Just not reading the game. Like you say, playing like a low IQ basketball player. And then just getting frustrated about it and whining and then just continuing to do the same things. He's got to play better than that. And then Jaylen can't just not show up. You get those 2 things, it fixes a lot. They're still going to have some of those other problems. But those 2 guys that's the only thing you can count on is those 2 guys. That's why they catch as much heat as they do, because they have to be good. The rest is hard. What are you counting on? Richardson to have big nights, and this and that. All of that stuff is nice when it comes. It's got to be those 2 guys first.
No, that's gravy. When those guys have it going, that's just gravy on top of what should be the main course, which is Tatum and Brown balancing each other out. And, I think we tend to talk about Jaylen disappearing. But, again, Jaylen's demeanor is not give me the damn ball. I'm going to own this. You need someone every now and then to just say, Jaylen, I need you to just absolutely torch that MF right there, because you're better than him. I'm going to get you the ball and do that. I think back to, and again, it's
not being able to fight your way to the ball on the possession where it's supposed to go to you is not. You got to find a way to get free. That's unreal that you can't get free to get the ball.
Again, John, I think his demeanor at times is such that he's just, look, I got it going. Just give me the ball. I still think this team needs someone who can bring everything together. I think back to when I was in Detroit, and Chauncey Billups was that guy. I mean, Chauncey Billups, there would be games where Chauncey would look at Rip Hamilton and say, Rip, he can't guard you. Here, take his ass. And they would just literally ISO for him. I want to see that. Now, we talk about the Celtics and how they tend to go a little too much ISO. It's one thing if you go ISO because that's just what you want to do. It's another thing when your team is gassing you to go ISO. Because then all of a sudden, it gets back to what Ime talks about, that whole accountability thing. Because now, if my teammates think I can beat this guy off the dribble, there's even more incentive for me to do just that. They need someone to just put them in positions where they can be what they're capable of being. And that's not happening enough.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree.
I need to get that fire up the call map or 2 shots. One of them has to happen relatively soon because I'm feeling triggered.
I'm trying to do both.
I want to get to bed quick. I'm going to have 3 fingers of whiskey at least. Maybe
it's that kind of night.
4.
Jeez. I got to turn on 2
my good friend Jack. I see my captain. And I see. Yeah. I will be
like, I'm good.
Yep, we're good.
So that's going to happen. But thank you guys.
Jimmy's having a good night.
Yeah, Jimmy's out there doing his thing. You know,
Jimmy hasn't even thought about the
what
Celtics
kind of whiskey.
tonight.
I've got some nice Japanese whiskey right now. A couple decent bottles. I have a very good bottle of Scotch that I just opened that
I'm coming to try some, John.
I'm old school. I got JD. Old school.
So
Jack.
Because I like every single present I get, because like most people think that nobody know, like they're like, I don't know, sports or booze, I guess that's all I get. So like I just get I just get bottles of stuff, and that's it. What are they gonna buy me, like a sports book?
That's the Jimmy John podcast, sports and booze.
So it's just, here's a bottle of whiskey, here's a bottle of whiskey, here's a bottle of whiskey. My wife's brother is great. He gets me something delicious every Christmas, really top shelf. Yeah, so yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, I've got some good stuff to pick from. Anyway,
so those are the ones that you dust off on a night like today, right? That's
when you're drinking alone, that stuff goes a long way.
Yeah, and it goes quickly, I find. That's just me.
If I have people over, I'm like, the pours are like this,
I prefer.
Here's a little taste.
You want to taste
water myself?
Yeah. No, I have an 18 Macallan, not a 25, Dave. 25's expensive. Yeah, that's some shit right there. Anyway,
water and tea over here tonight.
I know it's one of those. I'm still battling it too, but I'm not as bad as you are, Bobby. So anyway, thanks again, guys. Reminder to everybody, if you want, follow us on Twitter. Yes. Let me remove the so you can see everybody.
Hit us up.
You're not Josue, Bobby.
Hey, follow that guy right there.
You're not that guy.
Josue takeover, man.
Follow Josue twice then, because Bobby didn't change his name.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Follow Josue. Everybody follow Josue. Follow us at Celtics CLNS, if you would. And that's how you get notified when we're going to go live and do different things as well. And also you're going to get access to, all of our cool podcasts if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So you can see the video, or you can go subscribe on iTunes or wherever you have it. Sherrod Blakely with the A-List, Josue Pavon with Josue Pavon's on a ton of them. It's Causeway Street, and also he co-hosts the Cedric Maxwell podcast. Bobby Manning with Dome Theory, and of course here on the Garden Report. So make sure you subscribe to all of those. A ton of stuff obviously coming next week. We're back on Monday with, I'm sure, at least a couple of you guys are going to be at the Garden for the Bulls.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Is
it Monday?
Yeah.
Monday, yeah.
Okay, so yes. And that's it. That's all we got. We will talk to you guys.
It might be a tough game, guys. We'll see. We'll see how this team responds
next time.
They might be home underdogs.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, they might be. We will call it a night. Thanks a lot, everybody, for hanging out.